Hey, you already know the deal. We here fight the establishment fights us back, and only because of your support on wearechange.org/donate are we still here and giving you free videos every single day because you click the link below and give as little as $5 a month to continue this operation. Now, short introduction today because today is a very jam-packed news days with a lot of stories that are not getting the significant coverage that they deserve. A lot of issues that are being extremely underplayed, as well as many important aspects that I haven't seen people report on. But now, one of the most ridiculous news stories today, and definitely not the biggest one, but definitely the most stupidest, ignorant one of them all, is this headline by Vice, an organization that has ties to the U.S. State Department, major U.S. corporations, banks, that has essentially eviscerated any legitimacy that this company once had, released this headline that stated, quote, "The climate movement is overwhelmingly white, so I walked away." Once again, highlighting the delusional hysteria when it comes to weaponized information meant to divide and conquer the population. But this one definitely outdid itself, since it essentially has many broad implications, highlighting an individual who hates people because of their race so much that they view that more important than, of course, helping save the planet, according to them. And also, by just that headline and the article, they're also arguing that it's only white people that care about the environment, which, again, is just racist on its own terms. They're essentially also saying that people of color don't care about the environment. And the reactions for this weaponized piece of propaganda have been absolutely brilliant, especially on Twitter, with, of course, Vice getting ratioed and blasted for their absolute craziness. Now, this kind of racist, bigoted trash comes in many forms, but we ultimately do see a similar line being pushed by the mainstream media that does push and promote a lot of activists, and has been recently blaming white people for climate change. Even this lady who lied about being a Native American to get into college and other prestigious positions in her career. You know, this white woman who wants to have power over you, trying to be the next president of the United States, and if she wins, plans to distribute $1 trillion into non-white communities as reparations for environmental racism. Yes, Elizabeth Warren is putting out the doctrine that some mainstream media companies have been putting out there before, that only white people use fossil fuels. Bernie Sanders, of course, also has similar beliefs. And now the white people who bought into that propaganda, since again, the majority of the pollution and waste comes from developing countries, India and China specifically. But the remainder of the people who bought that propaganda are getting scalded from their skin color because they're trying to clean up the mess. And yeah, that's just dumb. If there ever was more present evidence of this larger divide and conquer agenda out there, so we hate each other instead of looking for the actual people responsible for our problems, this is it. Now, connecting this story to the next news story, let's talk about the largest polluter on the world stage, and that, of course, is the U.S. military-industrial complex. Yes, the U.S. war machine, the U.S. military, as an entity, is the largest polluter in the world. But yeah, of course, you won't be hearing that on the news headlines or from politicians who like to see Whitey as the reason for all of their problems in their life. But today, we had a very eye-opening critique of the military-industrial complex that, of course, is being widely underplayed in the U.S. mainstream media. And that, of course, is a former U.S. drone operator coming forward and giving absolute stunning and terrifying testimony of his actions and the actions of the U.S. military, as he compared what he did worse than the Germans in World War II, even going as far as to describe how he dropped a Hellfire missile on a child in Afghanistan, which his superior claimed was, quote, just a dog. This is, of course, testimony from Brandon Bryant, who killed 13 individuals while operating drones from a base in Las Vegas. He even gave us details on the severe mass number of operations, detailing how just his squadron alone hit 1,626 targets over his 6 years at the U.S. Air Force. Now, this man has actually quit the Air Force to become a whistleblower and is testifying to the United Nations and to the media about the true scope of the larger operations that the United States takes part in, that, of course, we've been very critical on this independent media organization about, and have been highly critical of this drone program under George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and of course continuing the program under Donald Trump currently right now. Since of course it's been shrouded in secrecy, there has been very little transparency and a lot of lies that have been exposed by WikiLeaks to not only the full extent of these attacks, but to actually what is happening on the ground, which is a lot different than the stories that were being told on the media about them. And when it comes to large, unaccountable, murderous government agencies, it's always best to be skeptical of them, which nicely leads into our next story, revealing how the Israeli intelligence Mossad set up a fake diving resort in Sudan that was also used by Osama bin Laden. Yes, more connections, of course, to how Western-backed and supported intelligence agencies are many times working with the scariest, nastiest, and ugliest counterparts in the Middle East, while claiming to be fighting them at the same time. This is why many people have labeled American foreign policy as just one of utter chaos, with this particular story highlighting an aspect of once again, the worst sinister characters like Osama bin Laden, who afterwards used this same base with Osama bin Laden using that same resort 5 years later as his own base. And of course, this is not the first time that Osama bin Laden, Mr. Tim Osman, had direct connections to Western-backed intelligence agencies, with, of course, cooperating actions with them in the Balkans, and, of course, against the Russians in Afghanistan. An important bit of American foreign policy that should be highlighted, especially with the latest support of Saudi Arabia by U.S. President Donald Trump. Now, moving forward in more news that should make you not trust governments ever, we of course have the latest developments with the coronavirus, where China is taking unprecedented measures in quarantining and locking down 400 million individuals. There's been gruesome video footage taken of people being locked in, dragged away, imprisoned, and arrested for even trying to hold the government accountable. And then this leaves me and many others questioning all of this for only 638 deaths. To be honest here, for China, that does organ harvesting and also imprisons a large portion of their population for, trivial reasons, that's not even a drop in a bucket for them. And it definitely makes many people wonder if we are being told the truth about what is actually happening there, as some scientists are warning that there's no way to keep the virus from entering the United States. But so far, there have been very limited cases in the United States, and it looks like it will stay that way. But very interestingly, Donald Trump is singing the praises of the Chinese government and the Chinese president, calling him strong, sharp, and powerfully focused, praising him for a counterattack against the coronavirus, which he says is going very well. Going on and saying that the Chinese president's sharp leadership will defeat the coronavirus, which is a very, very, very big U-turn against the previous rhetoric that Donald Trump had against China, which gained him a lot of praise. But right now it looks like Donald Trump is praising China, as of course more planes from the State Department are landing in the United States from the Chinese hot zone, Wuhan, evacuating and quarantining Americans safely here in the United States, where news reports are coming out that there might be individuals infected on this plane. But it is a little concerning to see Trump praise China so much because, again, as we've been reporting here, China has been arresting, punishing, detaining individuals for just speaking out against this virus, just like they did against the original doctor who warned people about this, who they promptly detained and made him sign a letter saying that he was wrong when he was warning people, raising the alarms of this new virus. His family recently was paid £90,000 after, of course, he just recently died after treating individuals with the coronavirus in Wuhan, since his death was ruled a health injury. But there has been a huge outpouring of support for this man that many people in China are calling a martyr, as of course he was punished along with many other individuals, citizen journalists, reporters, witnesses, and other medical professionals who were thrown in jail and are still being thrown in jail for showing people the truth about the coronavirus. And this is something that deserves harsh criticism since it still continues, and not praise like we saw from the US president. And with this virus still spreading and us not knowing the true veracity of it, we are seeing more and more people affected on it, especially on cruise ships where many people are in tight quarters sharing dining tables next to each other. Cruise ships are, of course, where diseases and viruses thrive, as we were warning you a couple days ago. And right now, many cruise ships are being quarantined with thousands of tourists on them, as there are more confirmed cases popping up on cruise ships all over the world, many of them being stopped and quarantined by local officials, with some people even warning that people could be stuck on these cruise ships for over 30 days. That is also one possibility emerging here. And as all of this happens, people in Hong Kong are panicking, as of course there is a huge rush for food, water, and supplies around some of the hysteria around this virus. So far, it's always best to be cautious, smart, and calm about the situation, and most importantly, not susceptible to all the fear-mongering going on, since fear and stress have a very negative effect on your immune system and your health. So yeah, I mean, most likely it'll be fine, but still, there's a lot of government officials that do deserve to be scrutinized that are absolutely insane, that still think that they have power over you. And they only do if you allow them to. We all gotta learn how to stand up for ourselves and say no sometimes to the abuse of individuals with stupid looking costumes, and realize a very harsh, important truth that many people are afraid to tell you, and that it is solely you that is responsible for you and no one else. That's just the truth. A lot of people like to think the world's gonna be great and government's gonna come in and give you free stuff, and again, that's not how the world works. And that's my individual personal take on it. What do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. I always respond within the first hour that a video is out, so make sure you click the notification button to get videos first to be a part of the discussion. I once again thank you guys so much for being a part of this conversation, a part of this dialogue, a part of time that you spent with me. And it means a lot, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.